Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to episode 13 of Living with a Mazda MX-5. In today's video I want to talk about fuel economy.
Boring!
I know it's not the most exciting subject, but it may be a worthwhile video for those of you that own an MX-5 and want to know what kind of MPG you can expect, or for those of you looking to buy an MX-5 and again looking to find out what kind of MPG you can get. So let me get inside the car. Like so. Right. I know it's a bit messy in here. I do apologise. The car does need a good old clean. Right. Let me have a look at how much petrol I've got now, which, as you can see, is not very much at all. So I'm going to top up the tank. Also make sure the tyre pressures are correct, because obviously that can have an effect on fuel consumption. And I will give you sporadic updates in regards to what kind of MPG I'm getting. Now, this will be a little bit difficult because, for starters, my car is a Unos, therefore it is in kilometres as opposed to miles. So I have to do some conversion, and of course, as you can see, I have no trip computer. So yes, this, oh, it's a clapped out Astra. It just sounded quite fruity when it went past. So yes, this will require a bit of mathematics to give you a kind of relatively accurate figure. But yes, anyway, time to get some petrol.
In case you're wondering which fuel I normally use Shell V-Power. If I can't get that, then I normally use Tesco Momentum. But whatever I use, I always make sure it's the premium stuff.
So the car is now fully fueled. Now it's time to make sure that the air pressures in the tyres are correct, because if the tyres are underinflated, obviously that will have a negative effect on fuel consumption. So I'm going to get out and make sure that every single tyre is at 26 psi.
Whilst I was here, I also thought it would be a good idea to check the oil level, because if I'm going to be honest, I haven't checked it since I bought the car back in May. I know, naughty.
So the car is fully fueled. The tyres are now 26 psi. 3 of the tyres were 25 psi and 1 was 24. So they hadn't lost much air since the last time I'd pumped them up, which was quite some time ago. So it's good to know that my tyres are keeping their air in them. Whilst I was here, I also checked the oil. At first, it seemed like it was running low, which is weird because on the dash here, actually, I need to turn the engine on, don't I? There we go. On the dashboard, you can see that the oil level is pretty healthy. But when I first took out the dipstick, it looked to be quite low. Then I put it in again, and then, it had more oil on it, so that's pretty good as well. So tyres are pumped up, the car is fully fueled, there is enough oil in it, so this car is good to go. Right, time for a quick update. Now, I was hoping to update you more in this video, but I am filming this video over the festive period, therefore I have been very busy and there has been a lot of hustle and bustle. Also, I have done a fair bit of driving, which is good, because it does mean that I've been able to report back in regards to fuel economy. Now, I've got through about 3/4 of a tank. I've driven to Bromley and back, I've driven to Worthing and back, and I've been on a good mix of roads. So I've driven around town, I've done some blasts on country roads, and I've done some fast driving on A roads. Obviously, when I say fast driving, I don't mean like doing 100 miles per hour. I just mean it's a faster road, because it's national speed limit, of course. Well, depending on the A road. Anyway, that aside, because I'm starting to waffle, let's have a look to see how I have done. Now, don't forget, this car is in kilometres, so I do need to convert it. Now, before I started, this car had done 137,592 kilometres, which in miles is, need to do some calculations, bear with. So that's 85,495 miles, give or take, because it's 0.7051. So, so if you wanted to round it up, I suppose it would be 85,496 miles. So that is what I had done before I had started. But what is the car on now? So let me turn you guys around, like so. Zoom in. Boop. There we are. So the car is now on 137,982 kilometers. So once again, I need to convert that into miles. Right, bear with me. That is an 8, isn't it? Not a 0. Yeah, it is an 8. Okay. Kilometers in miles. So that is 85,738 miles. So, God, really testing my brain now. Well, I say that, I'm about to use a calculator. I'll tell you what, let me turn you guys back around. Sorry, you do have to look at my ugly face again. Oh, it might be an idea to zoom out, wouldn't it? There we go. Right. So, calculator at the ready. Well, that's my calendar. Where is my calculator? There we go. So, what did I say originally? 85,496. What was the second figure? Okay, 8. Okay, so I have driven 242 miles, okay? So I've now got an actual figure of how far I have driven since I've started, which is good. But how much fuel have I used? So the fuel tank is 48 litres. I'm afraid more mathematics is required. Okay, so divide that by 4.5 to give me gallons. So that's 10.666666 recurring, 7, so let's call it 10.67 gallons. So let's divide that by 4. Okay, that's 2.67 times that by 3 because I've used 3/4 of a tank. So that gives me, that can't be right, that's a very round number. No, okay, that's given me 8. Okay, so right, I've used around 8 gallons so far, give or take. Obviously, these are rough calculations. These aren't 100% accurate, but it should give you some sort of idea. So now I need to do, hang on, 242 divided by 8. Yeah, okay, right. We got there eventually. So again, rough calculations, although I would like to think these are quite accurate. So far I have got an MPG figure of, there we are, can you see it, guys? 30.25, which is pretty much on the money. I think the official figure for this car is 35, if I'm not mistaken. If that is incorrect, I will drop the subtitle below, but I believe it's somewhere between 30 and 35. So, yep, that is, I'd like to think that's a pretty accurate figure. But I've still got about 1/4 of a tank left to go. So I shall report back once the car is virtually empty. So there we are. As you can see, I've got about, well, just under 1/4 left if I'm going to be pedantic. So let's do a bit more driving and I shall report back in a few days. Right, hello again. Welcome to my second and final update. So since I last spoke with you, I haven't really done much driving. I've driven to Dorking and back, which is where I have my day job outside of YouTube. Oh, the battery is flashing red. That is quite annoying because a few moments ago it was half full. So I might run out of battery. Anyway, let me carry on. Yeah, so I work in Dorking for my day job outside of YouTube. That is about 15 miles away from where I live, so that's a 30-mile round trip, of course. And the tank is virtually empty. It's probably got a bit more in there, but yes, it is pretty much empty. So now is a good time to kind of wrap up and give you my final thoughts. So, to recap, when I first started, the mileage, well, kilometerage, you get what I mean. When I started, the car was on 137,592 kilometers. Don't forget, this car is a Unos, therefore it is in kilometers and not miles, which roughly translates to, oh, I'm having to do this from memory now. I shot the last bit of the video a few days ago. It was around 85,496, if I'm not mistaken. Then I did a few more miles, and it went up to, oh god, I'm really testing my memory, 85,000 parakeet. I can't remember. Anyway, that aside, let's not get bogged down in that. So as it stands now, right here, right now, the car has ticked over 138,000 miles, sorry, kilometers. To be more specific, it's 138,049 kilometers. So let me spin the camera around like so. There we go. 138,049. What is that in miles? You'll have to bear with me. So that's 85,779. Well, if you want to round it up, it's actually 85,780 miles. So I have covered 284 miles, which is pretty impressive, I think, for a car that, well, I was going to say hasn't got a massive fuel tank, but it's 48 litres, so it's not tiny. But yeah, to cover that many miles in a roadster, I think is pretty impressive. Although what I will say is, if I drove more conservatively, I would have got more MPG. Now, I could have driven this like a granny if I wanted to get the most fuel economy out of it. However, really, I wanted to drive the car how I normally would. Therefore, it's a bit more of an accurate test, because there's no point driving the car how I wouldn't normally, because then it's kind of, the results are a bit skewed. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle on. So 284 miles. Right, if my calculations are correct, the final MPG is 26.61, which is lower than what I was expecting. Although the last time I drove the car, which was yesterday, I did drive it exuberantly, let's say. So that has had a knock-on effect, and there probably is a little bit left in the fuel tank. How much, I don't know, because it is, let me flip the camera around, guys. It is reading pretty much empty. Sorry about that, my battery died, which was quite predictable, although I wasn't expecting it to run out that quickly. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, fuel gauge. So, let me spin you guys around. As you can see, it is pretty much empty. But I should have enough to get to my local petrol station, because it is literally across the road. So that should be fine. Now, one thing I do want to say, I'm not too sure whether you guys have had a similar experience, but from my experience, when the fuel tank has got to about a quarter left, the fuel gauge seems to go down more rapidly compared to when it was at half full or 3/4. So yeah, when I've got to the last quarter, the fuel does seem to kind of, was going to say evaporate, but well, I suppose it does evaporate, but it seems to run out a lot quicker. Now, as I said, I did drive the car quite spiritedly yesterday, so that's obviously going to be a factor. But yeah, I'm quite surprised how quickly it's gone from a quarter to empty. Now, I say empty, the fuel tank will have a bit of fuel left in it, and I'm about to see how much it has. So I'm going to go through the petrol station, fill her up, and see how much fuel has gone in. So obviously this holds 48 litres. Whatever I put in to make it full, I subtract that what's from. Basically, I'll do some more maths, and yes, I'll be able to tell you how much was actually left in the tank. Then, if needs be, I'll have to recalculate my MPG, because I think 26.6, whatever it was, I think that is a little bit too low. Bearing in mind, 2 days ago, I got about 30 MPG, didn't I? So I don't think it would have fallen quite that dramatically. Well, I say dramatically for MPG isn't exactly a massive decrease, but yeah. Anyway, time to fill up. So I will see you in a few moments. Right, so I'm back at home. I'll tell you what, it's so handy living so close to a petrol station. It's literally, right, you can actually see it from here quite clearly. Really, really handy. So yeah, so filled the car up. So I put in 41.83 litres. So therefore there was still, well, there's still a gallon left in the tank, which is pretty impressive because, like I say, the fuel gauge was pretty much empty. Therefore, it does mean I need to kind of recalculate my MPG. So you know what's coming up? Yes, that's right. Smartphone back out. Aha! Right, that is more like it. So if I flip the camera around, like so, put my phone down. Right, I know the car is filthy inside. That's crumbs from a sausage roll. After this video, I am giving the car a clean because she definitely needs it and deserves it. So anyway, there we go. So there we are. I covered 284 miles. Divide that by the amount of gallons used, which was 9.29, and we have a final figure of 30.57 mpg, which is pretty good, bearing in mind this car has been thrashed a little bit at times. So yes, there we go. One more time in case you haven't seen it. 30.57. There we go. I hope you have found this video interesting. I know it hasn't been the most exciting or exhilarating video you will ever watch on my channel, but this is kind of real life, real world kind of, I was going to say consumer advice, maybe not consumer advice, but I'm speaking from my own experience of living with a Mazda MX-5, and that's what this whole series is about. So there will be videos where it is a little bit plain Jane and maybe a little bit I was going to say tedious to watch. Hopefully I'm not tedious to watch, although that's subjective, of course. But yeah, I really wanted to give you my personal experience from what kind of MPG I get from my MX-5. So to sum up, 30.57, which is pretty much bang on the money in regards to what I should be getting, which, like I say, is pretty good because I haven't driven this car very conservatively. Anyway, time for me to wrap up because I know this video has just literally been me talking at the camera. So yeah, probably time for me to wrap up. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched the whole video through, I'm very grateful because like I said, it's not the most entertaining video I've ever done. If you did enjoy it, or if you did find it useful or helpful, give this video a massive thumbs up. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click that bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. And if you aren't subscribed, guys, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe for more car obsession.